Hello and welcome back to yet another video on the Alejandro Hernandez podcast. This is going to be my first series where I'm going to be ranking the top 10 teams in the NFL after week one. And it was a very eventful week one. I'm going to be recapping basically how I did straight up and against the spread in my next video, which is going to release tomorrow when I release my week two predictions. But for now, this is going to be a new series I'm starting this NFL season where after each week in the NFL, I'm going to be ranking my top 10 teams in the league after that week. So to start this off at number 10, I'm going to have the Denver Broncos. And Bo Nix was really underwhelming in this performance. And he had 3 turnovers, could have had 4. The Titans defense kind of surprised me, but it was really Bo Nix's bad decision making that led him to all those turnover worthy plays. That is a little concerning. However, I was encouraged by the Broncos offensive line. They played very, very well. The run blocking was excellent for J.K. Dobbins. R.J. Harvey flashed with a 50-yard run, so I'm really excited about Denver's backfield duo with J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey. I'm excited with how Courtland Sutton played. He had 6 catches, 60 yards, and a touchdown. Very, very efficient performance from Courtland Sutton, who is the Broncos wide receiver 1. And I haven't even mentioned the defense yet. The defense looked like the best in the NFL. And Cam Ward was really impressive, but overall that Denver defense had 5 to 6 sacks, I believe. Played excellent lockdown coverage. Pat Surtain still looks to be the defensive player of the year. Played excellent all game long, shutting down Calvin Ridley. I love this Denver team, and Bo Nix needs to play better for me to have them higher, but for right now I'm going to have them coming in at number 10. Now at number 9, I'm going to have the Washington Commanders, who looked, I wouldn't even say impressive. I believe that game against the Giants was more about the Giants being bad on offense than it was the Commanders being really good on defense. And we're going to see how the Commanders fare this Thursday night against Green Bay. But for right now, I have to put them at 9. Jaden Daniels, he didn't look rusty, but it definitely looked like that offense wasn't really clicking to its full potential yet. And the Giants were able to get some pass rushing on Jaden Daniels. They were able to affect him pretty well. The running game was very encouraging, seeing Bill Crosby-Merritt break out with 10 carries, 82 yards, and a touchdown. He's definitely going to see more opportunities going forward. Terry McLaurin had that holdout before he got his contract, so he looked a little off during week 1, but I expect him to have a good bounce-back game week 2. So I think, and Deebo Samuel was the story of this game. 7 catches, 70 yards, and a rushing touchdown. He was really the focal point of the offense, which is really good to see because many people thought that Deebo was washed, and he comes out week 1 and has a terrific performance. Looks like the old Deebo Samuel. So that's very encouraging for Washington. And really, I think that this week was kind of a feel-it-out game, kind of get in rhythm on offense, get Deebo involved in the offense, their defense. I think the Giants' offensive line made that Washington defensive line look way better than it actually is. We're going to see how they fare against Green Bay, but for now I'm going to have them at number 9. And coming in at number 8, I'm going to have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers ahead of Washington. I believe Baker looked extremely impressive this week. Although his completion percentage wasn't great, when it really mattered for Tampa, when they really had to go down and make plays, Baker Mayfield was excellent. His scrambling ability was huge in this game against Atlanta. They were able to generate a good pass rush. And I had picked the Falcons to upset the Bucs because I believe there was a lot of things working against the Bucs' favor in this game. Without Tristan Wirfs, without Chris Godwin, their defense was a little bit liable to the Falcons' playmakers, which was seen by Bijan Robinson's huge play in the beginning of the game. But I believe Tampa really did settle into this game defensively. After that Bijan touchdown, Michael Penix, although he did have a lot of passing yards, it came in bunches. It wasn't really like they were going up and down the field in this Tampa defense. They very could have easily lost this game, but Baker's late touchdown to Emeka Egbuka was very, very impressive. And I believe if Baker can make plays like that late in games, then Tampa is going to win a lot of games this year. And they just got their toughest divisional matchup out of the way on the road in Atlanta. Getting that win is huge. And with how bad the Panthers and Saints look this week, I think it's very possible that Tampa, like I said in my prediction video, could be a top 2 seed in the NFC. Just how weak their division looks, how good Baker looked in the clutch, and Emeka Egbuka's breakout game. I think there's a lot to look forward to for Tampa this season, which is why I'm going to have them ahead of Washington. I was more impressed with Tampa's performance than I was with Washington's. So for that, I'm going to have Tampa ahead of Washington coming in at number 8. Now at number 7, I'm going to have the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think this is a big drop, but honestly, I don't think it's an overreaction. I think there is reason to panic in Kansas City. They're now without possibly Xavier Worthy this week. And although Mahomes made it work, it took him a little bit to adjust to losing his top 2 receivers in this game. It was really in the second half where he picked up his production, was able to have a good rapport with Hollywood Brown, good rapport with Juju Smith-Schuster. Travis Kelce was pretty much a ghost till he had that late touchdown. But overall, there's a lot to be concerned about in Kansas City. Lack of a running game is a huge concern. Lack of a pass rush and weak secondary play. Those are a lot of huge concerns for this Kansas City team. And if they become too Patrick Mahomes reliant, then I think this team is going to struggle because their defensive line could not create pressure on Justin Herbert. He was barely touched all game. That forced Steve Spagnuolo to then blitz Justin Herbert, and with that, he shredded their secondary. So I don't think it's an overreaction to have Kansas City at 7. And ahead of them, I'm going to have the Los Angeles Chargers, who really, really impressed me. I got to eat my words. When I predicted that the Chiefs would win in Brazil, I said that Justin Herbert couldn't win big games. Well, here you go. He played the best game of his career against the Chiefs, finally making a big play, playing a big game consistently through 4 quarters. I think that's the best game of Justin Herbert's career. 300 plus passing yards and 3 touchdowns. Maybe eat my words. And all I got to see is consistency out of him now. And I had predicted the Chargers to miss the playoffs. Obviously, after this week 1, that prediction's not looking too good. But I got to give them their credit. I got to give them their props. And they looked like the better team against Kansas City. It wasn't luck. They dominated the Chiefs through 4 quarters. And when Justin Herbert had to make a play on 3rd and 14, he did to win the game. So very, very impressive performance there from the Chargers. And for that, I'm going to have them ahead of the Chiefs heading into week 2. So I have the Chargers at 6, the Chiefs at 7. Now, to head into the top 5, I'm going to have the Green Bay Packers coming in at number 5. The Packers were extremely impressive in this game against the Detroit Lions. I had predicted them to beat the Lions at home. I didn't think it was going to be that much of a dominating performance. And while this game was really a lot about Green Bay, I think it also says a lot about Detroit. With the loss of Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, they looked very, very vulnerable on both sides of the football. Their offense really couldn't generate any sort of rhythm, and I believe that's due to the play calling. They always had rhythm in the play calling with Ben Johnson, but now they have a new offensive coordinator. Jared Goff kind of looked out of sorts, wasn't really sure where to go with the football throughout this game. The pass rush was really getting home, which I believe is due to their center Frank Ragnow retiring. That's a huge loss for this offensive line, and I believe people there was concerns about Detroit, but I don't think that anyone expected them to look that bad week 1. And it's really impressive that Green Bay was able to take advantage of that weak performance by Detroit and beat them by 2 touchdowns in a very dominating performance in week 1. And Micah Parsons, although he barely even played 50% of the snaps, when he was on the field, he was making a massive impact. He was just mauling Penei Sewell play after play, collapsing the pocket. He forced an interception on Jared Goff, which didn't even show up on the stat sheet because he didn't get a sack or a tackle, but he caused that interception on Jared Goff and then obviously got his first sack of the game late in that game. So Micah Parsons cannot be understated how big of an addition that was. And Green Bay is going to win a lot of games this season, and they're going to win the NFC North. Especially, and that was reinforced after that week 1 statement win against the Lions. So I'm going to have the Packers at 5. I can't have them higher than that because I still have questions about Jordan Love and his consistency. When he plays well, he looks great. But can he be consistent for a 17-game season? If he is, then the Packers could possibly contend for the number 1 seed in the NFC. So with all that being said, I'm going to have the Packers at 5. Coming in at number 4, I'm going to have the Baltimore Ravens, who, honestly, if they didn't collapse late in that game, I'm sitting here probably putting them at 1. But due to that collapse, it's same old Ravens. They just... On my FIU, when I went to FIU to talk about the Ravens-Bills game, I said that the offense isn't trustworthy. But what I really meant to say was that they're just not trustworthy in clutch moments in situational football. The 40 points that they put up, yes, that's obviously great. But when it came down to situational football late in the game, it's 40-25. I believe it was 40-32. They were up 40-32 with 4 minutes left. You give the ball to Derrick Henry, he fumbles the football. That's situational football. Then the missed extra point, they lose by 1 point. Why did they lose by 1 point? Tyler Loop's missed extra point. That come back to bite them because instead of the Bills tying the game with a game-time field goal, they win the game because the Ravens missed an extra point. That's situational football. Then you get the ball back, it's 40-38. With past the 2-minute warning, all you need is 1 first down to end the game. And they went 3 and out. Give the ball back to Josh Allen. John Harbaugh, instead of going for it on 4th and 3, punts the football away. Again, situational football. As good as the Ravens looked, I can't have them in the top 3 or even as they're still Super Bowl contenders, but I don't see them reaching the Super Bowl, let alone even the AFC Championship game, because when it comes down to situational football, the Bills out-execute them, the Chiefs out-execute them, and we're going to see when they match up against the Bengals how that matchup is going to look. But I trust Joe Burrow, I trust Josh Allen, and I trust Patrick Mahomes in situational football and those teams over the Ravens, which is why, although they're a great and excellent team, their defense did look very underwhelming, but the offense is spectacular. It's fireworks, but yet it still wasn't enough to beat the Bills. So for that reason, I'm going to have them stuck at 4. They could be higher because of the way they played. Had they finished that game, they could be even at first place, but I'm going to have them at 4 because they blew that game. Now at number 3, I'm going to have the Los Angeles Rams. I'm extremely high on the Rams this season, and they reinforced that in week 1. People will point and say, oh, they only scored 14 points. Matthew Stafford, due to PFF, was the highest graded week 1 quarterback. He played efficient football. He took care of the ball. Didn't take many sacks against that ferocious defensive line of the Texans. Got the ball to Puka Nacua. Got the ball to Devontae Adams. Kyron Williams, still the same goal line back. He has many touchdowns in the regular season. Had another touchdown in this game. He just managed the game. Obviously, going into this game, we knew it was going to be a defensive battle between the Rams' defensive line and the Texans' defensive line. That was always going to dominate this game, and Stafford knew that. It wasn't a game where we know that Stafford, if he wants to put up 40 points, he can put up 40 points. He put up 40 points in the Bills. And last year, in what was one of the game of the years, he beat the Bills 44-42. We know that this Rams offense can put up points. So that's not a concern for me. What was really encouraging to see was their defense only allowing 9 points, no touchdowns allowed. They got insane pass rush on CJ Stroud, affected him in this game, shut down Nico Collins. The defense was what I was really keeping an eye out for the Rams, and I believe they have a top 3 defense in the league. And if you have a top 3 defense in the league paired up with Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay, look out, because the Rams are a dangerous team this season. I can't yet have them ahead of the Philadelphia Eagles. I still have to respect the Eagles. But that Week 3 matchup, Eagles-Rams, is huge. It is huge in my opinion, and that's really going to tell us how serious the Rams are as Super Bowl contenders. And I'm going to pick them to win that game, but we'll see how the Rams perform in that game. But for right now, I'm going to have them below the Eagles. Maybe possibly after that game, I could bump them ahead depending on whether they win or lose. But for now, I'm going to have them behind the Eagles. Coming in second place, I have the Eagles. And they looked, I wouldn't say underwhelming because Jalen Hurts did play well, but the Cowboys definitely did expose their weaknesses. And the defensive losses, they were kind of downplayed by the media, but I do believe they're very significant. Losing Darius Slay, losing Isaiah Rodgers, those losses were huge because their secondary did get exploited by Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. There were openings there. There were opportunities for the Cowboys to win this game. They just didn't capitalize on them because of the CeeDee Lamb drops. But the Eagles' defense, a lack of pass rush was kind of killing them, and a lack of secondary help out at that cornerback 2 position was very noticeable in this game. And the passing offense, they're going to fix that up eventually, but definitely the loss of Kellen Moore was shown in this game against Dallas because they had no passing rhythm. And that was definitely evident. I do believe they're going to be fine. I do believe they're going to go into Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs this week in week 2. But I believe there are some concerns to be had for this Eagles team going forward on their defensive side of the ball. This is kind of reminding me of the 2023 season when they started out 8-0, but then collapsed late in the season because their defense was so bad. I do believe that that's possible to occur again this season. So for that, I'm going to drop the Eagles from first to second. And coming into first place, who else? It's going to be my Super Bowl pick, the Buffalo Bills, with a thrilling comeback over the Baltimore Ravens. They had no business winning that game. I'm going to be completely honest. When it was 34-19, I shut off my TV and went upstairs. And then all my friends are telling me, yo, the Bills are coming back. And I was like, there's no way. And I watched the Ravens collapse little by little, but it was Josh Allen who took the game. It wasn't that the Ravens just handed it to him. He still had to get the ball and go march down the field time and time again, and he did just that. And I was really encouraged by the breakout of Keon Coleman. I believe he's going to be a huge factor for the Bills this season. If he emerges as the wide receiver 1 that they hoped him to be, then, man, really Josh Allen wasn't really working with that many weapons. That's just because Keon Coleman was still developing. Khalil Shakir, not exactly a bona fide number 1 option. He's more of like a reliable second or third option. But if Keon Coleman breaks out this year, that offensive line looked excellent, blocking the Ravens up front. Barely allowed any pressure on Josh Allen. And when there was pressure, he was able to scramble out of it and make plays. And I'm a little discouraged by the run defense in Buffalo, but then again, they were playing a historic run offense. So I do believe they'll bounce back this week against the Jets. They'll go into MetLife and win. And really, now that they won this big game against the Ravens, their only really huge game left in the AFC is against the Chiefs, and they've owned the Chiefs in the regular season. So if they can beat the Ravens like they just did now, and then beat the Chiefs, they have the easiest path to the number 1 seed in the AFC. And that'll be it for this video, and I will see you guys next time for when I will release my Week 2 predictions, which should be tomorrow. But until then, I will see you guys next time.